Tonight on the show, a man with a voice of gold and a heart that matches. And a man whose job it is to bring this glorious country Olympic gold against all odds. So take a look at me now, Canada. This is the hour. Welcome to our little program. Hello, Canada. Your talk show starts now. I hope you're well. You're all right today? You're good? All right. Welcome, if I may say this, to your Heartthrob edition. It really is the Heartthrob edition of the hour. I recognize that I am your boyfriend, and tonight I may have compromised our relationship by bringing in two men tonight that you may get to use as your freebies. Because no doubt both these men are on your list. Michael Buble is here. Michael's got a brand new record. I got it around here somewhere. Well, I'll get it for you. Michael's got a brand new record. He's gone through a tough time over the last little while, a breakup that we've heard about. And he's such a good guy. We're going to get him to open up. And if all goes well, I'm going to make him cry. Because if Barbara Walters gets to do it, why can't I? Also, we're going to see if Michael can sing. You want Michael to sing tonight? Yeah. No. But I don't want to give him some obvious I love you line to sing to be romantic. No. We're going to give him lines that are nowhere near romantic and see if he can make them sound hot. Also, before we go any further, a happy birthday, a very special happy birthday to a very good friend of this show, Russian President Vladimir Putin. I know you're watching. He actually sent me a Twitter pic from his birthday party. This is how it goes, yeah? I'll tell you what, that guy knows how to party. It is. Actually, you know what? I said there were 2 freebies on the show tonight. Make it 3. You know, 3 freebies on the show. So not just Michael Buble, but soon to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, Steve Yzerman is on the show. That's right. People love number 19. Here's the thing. I mean, even if you're not a hockey fan, think about it in this context. There are 128 days till the Winter Olympics in Vancouver. 128, which means, if I do my math correctly, there are 128 chocolates left in my Olympic Advent calendar. And I just can't wait for midnight to come. And there's big expectations for Canada this year. Everybody talks about owning the podium, and sure, we want all the athletes to do well, but this Olympics, for better or for worse, lives and dies by the hockey team, the men's hockey team. If Canada plays for the gold medal game, if they play for gold, it's estimated that around 20 to 25 million people will watch that game. Think of that. Upwards of 25 million people in a country of only 35. That's incredible. The only thing more incredible than that is the pressure on the guy who has to build that team. Because you all think you have a good team in your mind. This country has not risen up together like this since we put down the Fenian raids of the 1800s. Look it up. We've got the guy today who has to pick Canada's team. He's the Jean Beliveau of his era. He's classy, he's humble, he's respected by everyone. They call him the captain in some circles. Steve Yzerman, here's his bio.
Okay, George, you know this, but I didn't, so shoot me. Around the NHL, Detroit is known as Hockey Town, and Steve Yzerman is the reason why.
Yzerman picks it up at the side of the goal, and centering pass, he scores! Steve Yzerman!
22 seasons, all with the Red Wings, 692 goals, 1,755 points, good for 6th all-time. Stevie Y was the heart of the franchise. When he got to Detroit, he was only 18, and the team was so bad, they were nicknamed the Dead Things. At 21, Steve was named captain, and through the mid-'80s and early '90s, Detroit became a top club.
Scores!
And Steve, an offensive machine.
Solani gave the puck away, Kozlov shoots, he scores! Steve Yzerman gets the hat trick.
But one thing was still missing, a championship. Finally, in '97, 14 years into his career, Steve led the Wings to the Stanley Cup, their first in 42 years. The next season, another cup. And then in 2002, a third cup, plus a gold medal at the Olympics. But that year was especially painful. Steve played on a bad knee, so bad he underwent surgery in the off-season to get his knee totally realigned. He wasn't supposed to play again, but he did. before calling it quits in 2006.
I know there's a lot of referees in the National Hockey League doing cartwheels today.
Now, Steve is out to win another Olympic gold in 2010, this time as executive director of our men's hockey team.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stevie Y. Welcome, buddy. How are you? Great. Excellent. Nice to see you. You have to juggle lots of things. You have a hockey franchise that's had a really great run, and then you have a country with huge expectations for a hockey team. How are you balancing the two right now? How's that coming together?
Well, first of all, Kenny and Jimmy Nell and Ryan Martin and Mike Babcock in Detroit have things pretty much under control. I really enjoy being around, and I learn a lot from being with them. But that being with them and being in the organization frees me up to get out and do some things with Hockey Canada and with the Olympic team this year.
Aside from, we all, as sports fans, we'll look at the newspaper, we'll watch the game, we see the stats, and we can see who makes a play here, who blows a play there. That's our assessment. Are you looking for something different? Like when you're watching these cats play, what is it that you're looking for to determine? Because it's a league with enormous talent. So to pick the handful of cats that are going to have this team, what are you looking for?
Well, more than just goals and assists, more than just the obvious of looking at a stat sheet after a game and trying to pick your team from that. I think the best players aren't necessarily the leading scorers in all cases. In some cases, they are. But I'll just use Sidney Crosby as an example. He's so good because he does all the little things well. He's an all-around. He's a complete player. And for Pittsburgh to win the Stanley Cup last year, Sidney and Evgeny Malkin both took a big step forward and were very good in both ends of the rink. And for that matter, in Detroit the year before that was Zetterberg and Datsuk. Two of our top forwards are very good at all the other parts of the game. So we're watching our players. We just feel we're playing against the other country's elite players that our guys on the ice, we can't have players out there that aren't competent in doing other things other than just score.
Do you feel actual pressure? Like, players will say when they get on the ice, some players zone the crowd out. They don't hear it. But and much is made of the fact that it's Hockey Canada. This is an enormous deal to people. Do you guys feel that kind of pressure when you walk into an Olympics?
Yeah, you're aware of it. I played in '98 and I played in '02, and I was much more comfortable in '02. Although I think our '98 team, although we finished fourth, might have been playing better up until the point we were eliminated in the shootout against the Czechs. But every player is aware of the expectation. But I've always felt that we all have our own goals. We have our standards we've set for ourselves, things we want to accomplish. Those aren't they're definitely not lower. They're higher than I think even what the country has. The players are really driven guys. So I think the pressure you put upon yourself is greater than anything else. So I don't see it as the expectation of the country hurting the team at all.
Congratulations on the Hall of Fame, though. That's coming. That's got to be quite a trip.
Yeah, it was a very exciting phone call to get earlier in the year, and a real thrill. I'm looking forward to being back in Toronto at the induction ceremony.
But it's got to be bizarre because you're getting in. That's the thing. Like, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame, but there's still that limbo period of waiting for the official call. Were you nervous at all when you got it?
No, I wasn't nervous. Actually, I kind of got a tip that, where are you going to be at this time? Expect a call. So, so no.
You start thinking, God, do I owe anybody money? Who's coming after me?
So it was, I didn't really expect the emotion that you get when you do get that phone call, and it was a real proud moment for me. I really appreciated getting the call.
What did Gretzky tell you before you took this position with Hockey Canada?
No particular advice. He just said, Steve, give me a call on anything. I've been through it. He says, I know you can handle this. There's going to be a lot of the little things away from the hockey part that, I can give you some advice on that I've experienced and how you may want to handle things. So give me a call. And throughout the last year, I've had a chance to have lunch with him when the Coyotes were in Detroit, or pick up the phone and call him and see him in Phoenix. So he's been a good advisor. He's been through this twice, and he's been through everything in his career. So he's there. I can pick up the phone and call him if I need some advice on anything.
You got a feel for him for what he's going through now, that whole last little run with Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been, I say I have to give him credit, because it would have been very easy for Wayne upon retirement just to be an ambassador and have a good life and be a good ambassador for the game. But there's that inner competition that you know, that a lot of us have, and you want to get involved. And he got back into the fire, and I know he really enjoyed coaching, and it's very stressful playing and coaching. This winning and losing, and it can take its toll on you. But as much as difficult it is, you enjoy it, and I know he really got a kick out of it and enjoyed it, and I expect him to get involved again. So I do feel for him, but I give him credit for, you know, getting involved, and you know, he hasn't tarnished his image or anything like that, but he's certainly put himself out there to be criticized, and I admire him for doing that.
There's all the drama with Jim Balsley talking about a team in Hamilton. Reports have been coming out, still nowhere near, but it came out Hockey Night in Canada about possibly Atlanta moving back to Winnipeg. From a Detroit perspective, with that franchise, what do you think about all the talk about, especially in Southern Ontario, another team that comes right back in the region? What do you think about that?
Well, I think the area could support another team. You know, it's such a passionate hockey market and a dense population. I think I feel strongly, in my opinion, that the Toronto area, or you know, whether it's Hamilton or Kitchener or wherever they're talking about, could handle another team. You know, the New York does very well with 3 teams. Hasn't been a problem.
Now that they might move the Islanders.
Yeah, now they're talking about moving the Islanders, exactly. So I think it can be done, and you know. There's a lot more that goes into it than just saying, hey, we're going to move a team here. And I think if people have, their eyes have been open to that in light of this whole Phoenix-Hamilton situation. So I think in time, you'll see another team in Canada, you know, maybe more than one. But it's just, I think everybody in Canada just has to be patient. I believe it will happen.
There you go. You probably had a lot of superstitions. Did you ever have superstitions? Did you play pranks on each other in the room?
I wasn't too much into the pranks, because if you get involved in that, you know you're going to get it back. So I tried to stay out of that for the most part.
I bet you've seen some doozies. We'll come back and talk more with Steve Yzerman after this. All right, coming up a little bit later on in tonight's program, we get it to happen. Michael Buble opens up.
What is that, actually? That's Jeff Weber. How's it go?
He goes, is it looking like a tramp, like a video man?
Demolition be your man. Boom, boom, boom.
All right, everybody, tomorrow on the program, from Arrested Development and Eric Tangell's Mr. Show, David Cross is here in the red chair. Steve Yzerman is here. If you think about, I mean, you won a gold medal in 2002, right? You won a Stanley Cup that same year. You've had all this success. You've got a chance at gold in Vancouver. But when you started your career at the Red Wings, there were some bad hockey teams. You had like very few wins. What was that like for you?
Yeah, well, initially coming into the league as an 18-year-old, you know, we made the playoffs my first 2 years, and that was the first time the Red Wings had made the playoffs since the mid-'70s. So we were kind of in a rebuilding mode, and it was pretty exciting for us. The Norris division back then wasn't a powerhouse division or anything, but it was progress. It really it fell apart in my third year, where we ended up, I think, with 17 wins and 40 points, and it was a real disaster. And it was kind of really humbling was an understatement, but it was really a difficult year for us all.
As a captain, did you ever kick a garbage can across the room to wake your team up?
I didn't do a lot of kicking. I was more of I threw things. So yeah, I don't know that it woke the team up per se, but
what would you throw? You throw things?
I threw it all: skates, sticks, helmets. Yeah, nothing I'm proud of, but that's pretty common in the locker room. Guys get frustrated coming off the ice, and things are flying.
Did you ever hit anybody?
If you watch me play, I didn't do a lot of hitting, so it wasn't a big part of my game.
I'm going to play a game called Best Worst. You ready for it?
Okay.
Okay. Now, you can't answer your own city here for obvious reasons, because you're going to say that. But best NHL city.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto. You know, I would say I love the city. It's a great place. We all like playing in all the Canadian cities. There's a special vibe in the air. Montreal, I could have easily said Montreal, any of the Canadian cities, but when you come into play, the cities are alive. There's a buzz in the air.
Best player you ever played against?
I think there's one A and B, and that's Bobby Orr and Wayne Gretzky. They're the two best, and they're the two that, at least in my lifetime, that have changed the way the game is played.
If you had to go one-on-one against Gretzky or Lemieux, who would you pick?
I would try to stay away from that. They would put Paul Woods on the ice to go one-on-one against him. I stayed on the bench.
What's the best prank that you ever played on a player?
You know what? I didn't do a lot of the pranks, so I had a couple of good ones played on me, actually. One of the veterans, my first year right here in Toronto, playing one of my first games, and right here in Toronto, they made a big deal when you check out in the rooms in the morning that you always got to pay your incidental bills. They don't want the bills going back to the office. And 5:30 in the morning, there's a knock on my door, and I just ignore it, keep knocking, banging on the door, banging away, and it's room service, and it's like, I didn't order room service, go away, and they just keep banging, no, room service, and I just finally ignored it for an hour. And about a month later, Nick Polano was our coach, came up to me on the ice and said, Steve, you got your incidental bills from the hotel in Toronto, you haven't paid, and I'm like, I don't have any. I went up to the office, saw the team secretary, and she was very firm in that you got to pay your bills, and I said, I did not order this isn't my bill. And one of my teammates later told me that take the little overnight check-in thing and checked off everything on the menu, so I had like a $200 breakfast there for me waiting, and I paid my bill and moved on.
November the 9th, Steve Yzerman inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, and our quest for gold, Team Canada, starts February 16th when the men's team, I believe, takes on the hated Norwegians. Big rivalry, Canada-Norway. Steve Yzerman, everybody.
Steve Yzerman.
Hi.
Great interview.
Thank you. Did you see it?
No. I am so excited about you running Canada's Olympic team this year. We're in Vancouver. We're going to win gold. We got to win gold.
Absolutely.
Yes,
there's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. We got great players, Crosby, Ginla, Luongo. We'll be in good shape.
What sport are you talking about?
Canada men's Olympic hockey team. What are you talking about?
The one where they go on cross-country skis and shoot people?
It's not a sport.
Huh. But it'd be pretty cool if it was.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it would.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it would.
Well, no, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it would.
No, it wouldn't.
Tendency means inclination, correct, right, 10 more grains. Haggard means how I look every morning. Let's go, I guess gaunt, right? Okay, let's go with gaunt, correct. Fervor means what I learned in church. Wow, no, that's calm. I guess I'm going to go with ardor. I don't know what the hell that means. Correct, nice, Elon, I don't know what did Elon mean? Do you guys know? Can you guess? No? Fine. Freerice.com. The game is completely addictive. We talked about it last night on the show. My sister had mentioned it to me, where every time you answer a correct question in the world of trivia, you actually get to donate 10 grains of rice to help feed somebody. So basically on the hour, we're feeding the world. That's how we look at it. Okay, what do we think? Elon means registration, antelope, overdue debt, or plaster? Antelope. Antelope. Correct. You just fed people. I hope you feel good about that. Freerice.com is my new favorite game. There are 60 levels of difficulty. If you want to impress people with your knowledge, but you're not sure you can win, don't do it around them. Practice for a while. Freerice.com. It's just a good little fun thing. You ready to read some email? It's email time. Let's go. All right, here we go. We got an email from Kevin from Ypsilanti, Michigan, who writes, my question is, what type of person do you prefer to interview, i.e. actor, singer, rapper, author, activist, and so forth? Kevin, that's a good question. The answer is hot people. I like to interview hot people the best. Actually, often the most interesting people in the world to interview, truth be told, are directors. Directors of films, because actors are really interesting if you can get them to kind of open up a little bit, but quite often they want to keep a little mystery about themselves and they don't want to give too much. Directors are like golfers in a sense, where they know everything they've done and they've put a lot of thought into it, at least the good ones have. So directors are always the most fun to talk about. This is from Elias over in Athens, Greece, no less. Are you from Greece or are you actual Elias? You're not from Greece? Greece, nice. Hi, George. I watch your interviews online from Athens. Bravo for keeping your full Greek name. It's actually funny you say that because my full Greek name isn't Strambolopoulos. It's Theologos Georgios Drakonopagatukis Strambolopoulos. And I'm Irish. I'm not going to read this one here. It has to do with Letterman. I'm going to move on from that one. Another one from Michigan, because we're on in different countries around the world now. If you don't know, people are picking up the hour. This one says, George, we both wear our watches upside down. Why do we do that? Because I wear my watch with the face inside. The truth is because my papoose, my grandfather, my dad's dad, always wore his watch upside down, and as a kid I grew up just thinking that's how you should wear your watch, because my grandfather, I loved him. I wanted to be like my grandfather. That's why I'm also a part-time farmer in the backyard. That's a nice one there. Books what are books that you like to read? What do I recommend to others? I'm about 2/3 of the way through the Bible. I don't know how it ends, but it looks like it's going well. That's good. And this one says, Strombo, what CD were you listening to yesterday? I like that question. Actually, I listen to the same thing all the time. And if you're like me and you don't sleep very much, I've decided that I'm only going to listen to the sounds of nature now at night. That's it. You ever do this? You just listen to the sound? Because at night you sit there and you can't sleep. And I'm not an anxious guy in my life. I'm not anxious at all. But at 2:30 in the morning when the anxiety starts to go and I'm laying in bed, I'm just like, you know, and I don't want to develop a sleeping pill addiction, so I put on the sounds of nature. I download them all off iTunes. You hear that? Here's the crazy thing. It kind of works. Like, it absolutely settles me. The problem is, if you're like me and you're not the best sleeper of all, you fall asleep to crickets, but in the middle of the night, you wake up to cheetahs. And it's scary. You're just like, you're laying in bed, you're just like, fuck, fuck. You are warned. An awful lot happened in the world, everybody. Here's Mile a Minute. It's actually, the truth is, it's the cheetahs are scary, but the chimpanzees are really terrifying, right? Because they just sound like they're laughing at you. And then it makes me think, what did I do while I slept last night? You pointing that at me? I want to kick things off in Afghanistan. You may have heard that today is the 8th anniversary of the war, and in 8 years, I think it's safe to say. You know, things aren't going as well as had been planned. Here's how the U.S. Defense Secretary Robert Gates chose to put it.
Because of our inability, and the inability, frankly, of our allies to put enough troops into Afghanistan, the Taliban do have the momentum right now, it seems.
Okay, fine, so we're on our heels, but we're still in it, right, Coach? We're still in it, right, Coach? We can still win this thing, right? Can we? Can we win it?
I have tried both in Iraq and Afghanistan to avoid terms like winning and losing.
What, are we playing for a tie? You know, historically, people who are winning rarely try to avoid the word winning. So what do you do? Well, Obama's trying to figure that out. He's the president. It's his mess. He made two things very clear. He will not put America out, and he also will not cut troop levels, but he hasn't said he'll increase them either. Here's what Gates said about that.
I think the key thing is to establish what our objectives are, and can we achieve our objectives? And the answer to that question is absolutely.
So you haven't established your objectives yet, but you already know you can achieve them. Sir, I admire your optimism. Also with Afghanistan, more questions today about last August presidential election. Washington Post says it's got new evidence now that the vote may not necessarily been on the up and up. Apparently in some areas where President Karzai won, the official vote count... What? What do you mean, George? Apparently the official vote count exceeded the number of voters by, at times, more than 100,000. That is to say, 130,000 votes were counted in a place where only 30,000 people live. Well, at least we can take some comfort that we've brought democracy to Afghanistan. Florida style. Of course, with Afghanistan, we always hear about how it's an unconventional war. Well, wait till you hear this warning from the United Nations telecommunications chief. He says the next world war could take place in cyberspace, and no country would be immune to an attack. So basically, the soldier of the future is... comic book guy. Next, Guy Laliberté, the Cirque du Soleil guy. I'm sure you've heard by now, right? Paid $35 million for a trip to space. Not just to have fun, but to raise awareness about water conservation, I suppose. You know, okay, fine. The price tag for that could be about $50 million now because the big show that Cirque is doing on Friday. Now, obviously, this is one way to deal with conservation. He could have just given $50 million to people who need water. But not to be overly critical when it comes to water conservation. Aren't clowns some of the worst offenders? It's in my eye! Meantime, Vancouver is suffering from what's called an Olympic hangover, and I know what you're saying. You're saying, George, Bucky, they haven't even had the party yet, and you'd be right. The Olympic Village was supposed to be built for about $950 million, and the idea was you build this village where the athletes would stay, right, and nothing, and they would sell, the city would sell the condos for a profit. hold that phone. Because the total cost now is expected to hit $1.2 billion. The Vancouver mayor has weighed in saying if the market does bounce back, and it's strong, and we are able to sell all these units in the next year or two, we could recoup our costs and break even. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, but a happy little girl I'd be. Finally, a Japanese airline has a new idea to help the environment. How? Well, by having you use the bathroom before you board. The idea is everyone weighs less. I don't know what you're eating, but they think that if you relieve yourself, that you'll actually weigh less and the plane would save fuel costs and then cut carbon emissions. They're going so far with this that the airline plans to have loo monitors at the gates. So you walk in, they take you to the washroom. Right? Because who's hanging out at the airport saying, man, I really got to go to the bathroom, but you know what? I'm going to save it for the plane. All right, the hour rolls on. You want him, you got him. Michael Buble. Here's his bio.
You know, George, there's no doubt about it. Michael Buble is a bona fide star.
Say you love me.
The #1 singles,
You're everything.
a bunch of Junos and a Grammy,
Oh, I know.
and more than 20 million records sold.
And I'm feeling it.
Oh, and that voice and that style? Well, they evoke memories of Sinatra. Michael grew up in Burnaby, BC. His dad was a salmon fisherman, so Michael spent a lot of time with his grandparents, listening to Dean Martin and Ella Fitzgerald. By the time he was 16 or so, Michael was singing in nightclubs. His grandfather helped him with that. See, he was a plumber, so he'd offer to do some free work, and in return, Michael would get a gig. Now fast forward a few years. In his mid-20s, Michael sang at the wedding of Brian Mulrooney's daughter, Caroline. And guess who was there? David Foster. Well, Foster liked what he heard and signed Michael to his label. A few years later, Michael put out his first album. It became a top 10 hit.
Like a flower bending in the breeze, a bend with me, sway with me.
He followed that up with the album It's Time. It hit #1 on Billboard's jazz charts and stayed there for a record 80 weeks.
Another winter day has come and gone away in either Paris or Rome, and I wanna go home.
Hard to imagine it could get any better, but Michael's third album, Call Me Irresponsible, was huge and has sold more than 13 million copies. Now he's back with a new album called Crazy Love.
And I promise you can to give so much more than I get. Yeah, I just haven't met you yet.
Everybody, please welcome back Michael Buble. Young man. How are you? How are you, sir?
I'm really happy.
You're happy?
Yeah.
Is that
I'm happy.
Yeah?
Really, I am. Good place. Happy to be here with you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
You have a new record out.
I have a new record out called Crazy Love.
Songs on it, right here.
I have a bunch of songs.
Are you
and
voguing
police
here?
tape.
Are you voguing here?
Actually, you know what? It's funny about this photo because I don't love getting my picture taken. You don't love getting it. It's one of the things. It makes me insecure or whatever. And this photographer, he's a really good photographer too, but he's like a fashion photographer, and I'm not, this is no joke, but he kept going, it's your birthday, it's your birthday. Come on, Michael, it's your birthday. And,
what do you even do?
hey, Holly, what was his name? Ben Watts. He's like a really he's a big photographer. And he was just being funny, but I was, getting like so uncomfortable. And he was like, it's your birthday, it's your birthday. And at one point I was like, oh, you know what? Oh man. And I went like this and he went swoop and it was
lovely.
I made a joke. I was like, oh yeah, I'm like gonna Vogue or whatever it was. And boom, the cover. And my sister saw the cover and I said, what do you think? And she said, what are you, frickin' David Copperfield? Because take a look, it's like you just see me going, magic. Anyway.
Yet you still approved the photo. You allowed it to go to CD.
No, because every time, oh man, I'm dominated by strong women in my life, and I basically.
How's it working out for you?
So good. But basically, I basically, like, I'm a polar, right? with all my songs, with everything. Like I ask people, I ask everybody, and especially the women in my life. I'm like, what do you think? And enough were like, I think it's sexy. And I was like, done and done. Let's not do any more photo sessions.
That's the one we're going to do.
That's the one we're going to do.
You got songs on this, songs that you wrote on this, you know, deeper.
Yeah.
You're becoming a man, right? When you became famous, you were still you were a young guy.
Yeah, not even in age and in a maturity level.
Sure. And then you travel the world, you go through lots of ups and downs, and all of a sudden you're entering the man stage of your life.
Yeah.
How's that going? And I don't ask that as a loaded question because I'm going through it, my friends are going through it. It's a complicated time.
Yeah. Is it weird? Is it okay to go through a midlife crisis at 34 years old?
It's not a midlife crisis, though. I think you're just...
Or not a midlife crisis, but I'm like... I think about it a lot now. I think like... I think about it a lot. I can't keep pretending. Even though I feel like I'm 17, I can't keep acting like I am.
Things feel hollow after a while, don't they?
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, it's especially with what I do for my life. I go on the road and I live in this cocoon, and I'm allowed to be this kid just playing around, and then I come home and, you know, all the buddies are married and there's beautiful kids, and at first I looked at them and I was like, oh, idiot, like, what are you doing? Like, no, I was like, you know, now that's it, your freedom is gone. You have no freedom. And now I sit there and I look and I'm like, oh my God, like you're living this beautiful, beautiful life, and I'm performing to 15,000, 20,000 people, and then I'm sitting in a bus by myself, and I'm by myself. And
what did they say? Yeah. Don't you understand? It's hollow, people. It's hollow.
I'll join you on the bus.
It's not easy, you know that. It's not easy. Sometimes I'll be at home in my mansion and I'll be swimming in the money pit with no one else. And
no one to share your money pool with at all.
The girl scrubbers or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
There's boy scrubbers too. I'm an equal opportunity.
But you see, the jokes hide the fact that it's real. That it's actually it's an interesting journey that you're going through right now, and you're doing it in public.
Yep.
What precipitated all the inward looking?
The breakup. And I'm being honest, and I don't like talk. You know, of course I don't. What do I don't want to talk about my intimate life, and I won't. But breakups are hard for everybody. I don't care. Everyone I've been through has not been a happy, laughing time, and for me, it had a lot to do with what I've gone through in my career or in my life, the age I am, how much I cared, and so when it ended with M, obviously. I looked at it as an opportunity, you know. I talked to my grandpa, and he said, "Sunshine, today's curse is tomorrow's blessing." And I thought, geez, I'm a 33-year-old guy. You know, I'm insecure, and when I look in the mirror, I think I'm a good person, but I don't know that I'm in love with myself, or that I have as much respect for myself as I could. So I looked at it as an opportunity to grow and to become a guy that I like, you know. And I'm not perfect at all. I mean, obviously I'm not perfect, but I'm working at it.
You know, the trip to becoming that guy that you want to become seems like it's a long trip, but it's the first step is the big one. So what's the first thing you did? How did you address that?
The truth is, I was sitting and I was after I dated some really nice people, and I kept very. I was very honest in every relationship, and I was honest, and I said I can't get deep into this. I just, you know, I'm not, you know, whatever. Yeah. I don't know what to say. But I was sitting, and this friend of mine was looking at her boyfriend on a computer, and he's a real good-looking cat, and the girl I was dating was inside the house, and she was looking at the picture of the guy, and she basically said, the girl I was dating basically said, like, I would like to break a piece of that off, and blah blah.
Talking like he was a brick of hash.
Yeah. Yeah. But my first instinct was jealousy.
Yeah.
Jealousy, insecurity. So insecure, I guess, is, you know, and I was sort of addicted, loved the drama, just enjoyed it oh so much, you know, and that control or whatever you want to call it. And my first instinct was to, because what I would have done before is I wouldn't have said anything. I would have been very passive-aggressive about it. I would have said nothing. The girl would have wondered what was wrong with me all night. I would have played games. And as the hours went on, I would become more and more angry and more dramatic. And by the end of the night, this thing would be absolutely gigantic in my mind. And I would create drama, and then it would end in an explosion of just ugliness. You know, me, you know, being, you know, whatever, saying something nasty, or, you know what I mean? And in this moment, it was really weird. I walked in the house, and I literally, I processed this thought, I felt it, and then I thought, no, not tonight. Not tonight, man. You're not going to ruin this night. You know what? Don't do this to yourself anymore. And it was really tough to do. And each time I practiced it, this is so weird. I feel like I'm in therapy, man.
This is because, you know, I'll tell you the truth.
But it's now I don't think about it, George.
Yeah.
It happens, and I got a girlfriend named Luisana who is a great person, and you know what? And doesn't deserve any of the crap and the drama. And
but there's still drama that comes out. You were on the front page of the newspaper, allegedly punching out paparazzi.
Yeah.
Did you? But front cover like 2 days in a row. Did you hit them? Because I can't see that you were.
I was in Argentina for 2 days. It was like Buble punched the paparazzi guy.
Did you do it?
No. I came out and said, "Buenas noches, ¿cómo estás?" And I had a security guy, and the paparazzi man, he put his camera up, and my security man had hit his arm, and the flash broke.
Yeah.
And this is even better. The flash broke, and the security man came inside, and he said, the photographer wants $500 for his camera. And I said to the security guy, "But you broke the camera." And he said to me, he said, "Yeah, but he's going to call the police." And I said, "Listen, okay." I said, "It's his job, you know, this is his business." I said, "Tell him to give me the camera. Tomorrow, Lou and I will go into the store, and I'll buy a new flash for him." And he went, "No, I want the money." Blah, blah, blah. And then I thought nothing of it, and I said, "Well, listen, I'm not gonna give you $500, but I'll take it in. I'll get it fixed gladly for you. That's that's his life, whatever.
Right,
that's
sure.
what he does for a living." I sort of owned up to the responsibility of my security guy doing it, and the next morning it was everywhere. I had punched the man and attacked the man, and
Pretty gangster, though.
well, you know what I said? I said, "You know what? If they're going to blame me for it, why don't I just do it?"
You know the adage goes, man, what's worse for your life is better for your art. And going through all of this stuff, I suppose it's going to force you to be not just introspective about who you are, but introspective about how you write songs and how you approach this stage of your career. Has it had that impact?
Absolutely. This is a great record. I know it sounds terrible to say it, but it's a great record because of it, because I felt something, because I was emotionally honest when I sang the songs. I chose the songs because I knew, some of them would be more difficult than others, but that I could really, interpret them well. As much as it's cool to make people laugh and to sound pretty and to do whatever, it's also my responsibility to mean what I say, and not just throw it away.
I mean, and maybe I'm mishearing the record, but I think it's recorded that way. It doesn't sound like your voice sounds a little bit different on this record. It's not that you didn't hit notes, but you wouldn't have hit notes the same way, and it's what you left them on. And I've listened to enough records to know when guys would retake stuff, and you didn't. And it's at least that's what it sounds like to me.
True. I mean, it was done definitely differently. It was I would say it was engineered differently, because we tried to not use as much of the mechanical stuff, but of course you do. And we walked into the studio, the first song, and literally I had 3 microphones sitting here, and me and this group called Naturally 7 stood around the microphone. My rhythm section was about 4 or 5 feet away from us. We took the 3 takes, and we took it, and it was weird because that was the first recording I did, and I came home, and I was in the bathtub, and I was listening to it on the Discman or whatever it's called, and I went, "Oh my God, I love this so much," and I have a hard time listening to myself sometimes, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is when I listen to Sinatra or the Beatles or Motown or any of it, there's that presence Do you know? It's hard to explain. Maybe it's not so much the notes, but it's the sound between the notes, the air, the space. I don't know. It was like, wow, this is. I knew, dude. I was like, this is going to be the best record I've ever made, and. But then, why should you believe me? Which artist comes out and tells you their next record is shit?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people will be able to make their own opinion up when they actually listen to the record. And I know for a lot of you, when you're going to be performing on a Christmas special, I know people are getting ready to swoon for it because Michael has some pretty romantic songs. But can he make any line romantic? Any line? We'll throw some at him and see how he fares. More with Buble when we come back.
Oh my God. Excuse me, but my braces are caught in your hair.
Back here with Michael Buble. He's Before we delve into the hat, I want to ask you a few things. A tour? You playing Canada?
Yeah, I'm coming. Oh, I get to tour in the summer.
Oh, smart.
Because Canadian winter tours are awesome. It was awesome, but it was just horrible.
It's no fun.
It was freezing. It was freezing, and everyone is sick, and every show. So it's going to be so great.
And when do you kick it off? March? No.
July.
Oh, all July. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's exciting.
I think so. Or I could be lying.
Nice. Ottawa? You play?
Yeah, of course I'll play Ottawa. Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Let's see if we can get Paul Anka out in Ottawa.
You'll at least sell one ticket right there for the.
Yeah, one person was like, yay!
Nice. Are you doing anything with the Olympics? I mean, it's Vancouver, it's Van Ock in February. Do you have plans for that?
All I know is if I'm not invited, I'm coming anyway. I'm not kidding. I will be in the crowd going like, ha.
They haven't called you yet.
No. Don't do this because you know what? Let's say this. Even if they had called, you wouldn't be able to say anything. You have to sign. It's like,
really?
Oh my God, yeah. It's the Olympics, right? I'm not there. I could be, but I'm not. But I'll be there, but I won't.
And you'll definitely be there for
No, you know what? I would love to. Honestly, so if you're watching people at the Olympics, I would be cool, whatever, if you want me, but if not, whatever.
Okay, take this hat, young man. In this hat are a bunch of lines. You have to pick a line and you have to make it sexy, but you have to sing it to us. Keep your pants on.
Really? Boom, 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 bing, boom, bing, boom, boom. Excuse me, but my braces are caught in your hair.
That was exceptional.
Oh, this will be good. This will swing. Ba-dun, bum. Does this have to be said? Ba-dun, bum. Oh, looking like a tramp. Like a video vamp. Demolition woman, can I be your man? What is that actually?
That's Def Leppard.
How's it go?
It goes, is it looking like a tramp, like a video man? Demolition woman, can I be your man? Oh, yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Def Leppard. One more.
Take it all. Take the Bible. Let's pour some sugar on me.
That's what that is, yeah.
Come on, everybody. Pour some sugar on me.
Last one.
Last one.
Last one. Make it sexy. Make this one really sexy. Because Def Leppard's a tough sell.
I know this song. How do you give me song lyrics? Then it's weird for me to have a...
Maybe they're yours.
Is this a Tragically Hip song?
No, that's
I knew that.
Close. That's a Jay-Z song. I want to hear that one. You can, now, by the way, if you don't want to say that word, you can change that word.
If you're having girly problems, bump, 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 bump. I feel badly for your son, pinch, tint, king, gung, gung. I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one hit me.
Michael's got a brand new record. It's called Crazy Love. It comes out this Friday, and he'll come back and join us Christmas Eve for the hour.
Thanks, everybody.
Special. Michael Buble. We'll be right back. Right, tomorrow on the show, a couple of guys who are helping a lot of kids around the world. Craig and Mark Kielberger will be here. Thank you very much for watching the show tonight, everybody. Here's tomorrow's headline today.